This is Blue Spectacles horror film reviews, and basically we're gonna. Well, some of them will be me and her together because some she likes to watch and some she won't watch. So we're gonna basically talk about a horror movie. Talk about we'll give a rating from F to A plus as to whether how scary it was, like the horror effect, and then an F to A plus rating as to how good overall it was if we would watch it again. So the movie that we're going to review right now is called The Shining, which is a book which was published by Stephen King, and it was made a movie. It was made into a movie, and I believe in the late 70s is when it was. I should know this information. It has Jack.
What's that, like 73?
Something like that. But
or was that The Exorcist?
That was the Exorcist. Which,
oh, my bad.
Yeah. The movie involves, well, it has Jack Nicholson in it. It's very, very famous for the scene. Here's Johnny. That's the big, scene in it. And pretty much what the whole setting is. This guy and his family, his wife and his kid, named Danny, are going to this hotel to be the caretaker of it because it's a hotel in the mountains that will be closed from October to May. And so he's there with his family, and it's sort of a movie which is demonic, but not very forward about how it's demonic, because there are ghosts in it, if you will, but you really don't know. It's not very forward about that. But basically, what happens is Jack Nicholson, his movie and his name in the movie is also Jack. He goes crazy and tries to kill his family, and a lot of other crazy things happen in it, including he becomes like a part of this, people like ghosts, like a bunch of the ghosts that were left over in this hotel from a previous incident of a man chopping up his family and stacking them neatly, and so there's a lot of bad things having happened there, or one main bad thing having happened there. But the Shining is when somebody communicates without talking, really. So that's the whole thing, and the little son Danny can communicate to others. Well, specifically to this cook, and when the cook leaves to Miami, he kind of communicates what. He basically communicates to this guy in Miami about what's going to happen. The guy comes there and gets killed. So I don't really want to go into the whole details of it because that will kind of spoil some things, and it would kind of I guess ruin part of. I also don't want to give any spoilers here, but both of us have seen it. I saw it a long time ago. First off, she saw it like maybe a few weeks ago, and she has like a couple of I guess things like qualifications that have to be met before she will watch something. She has a lot of things that will scare her.
I'm a scaredy cat. I was actually very scared to watch it, but it was actually a pretty good one.
What scared you about it specifically? What scared you about it?
Well, because when I'd ask people about it, all they said was it's so demonic, and I just thought it was gonna be like
The Exorcist.
So, well,
kind of. Well, like how
I thought it was gonna be like he was just gonna be like really just downright scary. Like I thought he was actually gonna I don't want to ruin the movie, but do more than he actually did.
Right.
And I thought it was definitely be more demonic than it is.
My favorite scene of the whole movie is when he's kind of is quite crazy and is pretty much bound to be killing his family soon.
Mm-hmm.
And the wife comes into this big room, and the guy is supposedly writing a book, and she sees on the typewriter of this whole stack of papers of this book. All it says, the whole and everything, is all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And then he comes around and says, basically chases her up the stairs, and he says, "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in."
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably for me is the scariest part in the whole thing, where he pokes his head in the door and says, "Here's Johnny." Is not even the scariest part for me. So
I found the scariest part was the bathroom, because
when she's trapped in there.
Yeah, because she gets trapped in the bathroom and he's trying to get through, and she's trying to sneak out, get away, but there's no way for her to get out.
Oh, the window.
She can't make it out the window, and so I honestly thought kind of thought he might get her. Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, he does not. But that was the part that I found really creepy. It's oh my god, what is she gonna do? And then I thought, even if she does get away, he's at least gonna beat the crap out of her.
Horror movies always using bathrooms, huh?
Don't even start. I hate bathroom scenes in horror films. Okay,
either a horror film using a bathroom or using a child is what basically just ruins it for her.
It really does, and that was another thing I really liked about The Shining. I mean, the child was in the movie, but I felt it wasn't as bad, because that just really bothers me. I don't find that very tasteful at all.
To have children and babies.
I really, especially I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be crazy, you kill other people that are crazy.
Right. So what would you say an F to A+ rating on how it scared you? If it scared you.
Scared wise, I'm gonna have to go with a C.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a C+. I personally didn't find it that scary, and I think that I don't think it's because it's not a scary movie, because it does have scary parts in it. I think it's just because of how scared I was before I saw it. I think I put too high of a
expectation. Too high expectations because of what other people told you? I
do, and I think that's why. Because nobody gave me actual, told me what it was even about. All they said was, oh my gosh, it's the scariest movie ever. It's so demonic. So, of course, in my head, I'm thinking of the scariest possible thing it could have been. And then I saw it, and I'm like, okay, my mind had this way worse than it was. So it was kind of relief. I mean, it still creeped me out. I was still a little scared, after watching it, especially in the bathroom. But it was not as bad as I thought. And again, I think it's just because I had too high expectations of it.
How would you rate it F to A+ on how it was overall for you, as whether it was a good movie, bad movie?
Altogether, I would give it an A.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a good movie. I would definitely watch it again, and I would definitely recommend it to somebody. That was another thing. When I'd ask people about it, they're like, oh, don't watch it. No, they're like, I would not recommend that to anybody. So that's probably why I was so, horrified to actually watch it. But I thought it was a pretty good movie myself.
When I first watched it, I was maybe 16, and I was kind of new to the horror genre, even though I just basically loved it. And I was getting into this Stephen King stuff, It and Pet Sematary. Basically, when I first saw it, the scare factor as to how scary it was for me was probably an A, and as for now, it's probably more a B. Because I do think that it's scary. The whole thing is just it's very, very creepy. It's not that gory at all. There's some gore. It's not that gory. It's not that scary. Let's say Exorcist or even a Sinister these days. But for me, right now, it is a B as for scariness for horror. Overall, I think it is definitely a A+ movie. It is just, I think it's really, really good, and I do watch it again. I do watch it quite a bit compared to some other movies, and I definitely would watch it again. I would recommend it, and I actually own it. So yeah. Anything else to say?
Nope.
Okay.
It's a good movie. You should see it if you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, you should make a comment about what you thought of it. We'd like to know.
There you go. Thank you.